Let's bring in the peripatetic Tom E. Curran, the Patriots insider, NBC Sports Boston, who joins us on the program. What was the difference between the Chargers game and last night's game there, Tom?
Patriots got behind, and when they are behind, Cam effectively ties their hands in being able to rally because he is a one-dimensional quarterback. Against the Chargers, they scored in the first drive. They came back. They had a blocked field goal for a touchdown. They had a punt return for a touchdown. Party was over. But in this instance, there was no digging out because Cam only can dig deeper.
It was a couple of weeks ago, I think, when you wrote a column and you said that the Patriots sort of know what they have with Cam Newton. What is it, and what's that mean for the future?
And what it is probably, weirdly, Dan, it's the best case scenario for this year because they are so bereft of offensive weaponry. And you see it during these games. I don't know if anybody would be getting a hell of a lot more out of it, whether it was Kyler Murray or Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, or Cam Newton. They're so challenged at the wide receiver spot. So what you have in Newton is a guy who can run for 11 touchdowns, who can be a red zone threat, who can pick up 3rd and 2s by bullying forward, but you pay the price otherwise. So they know that you can't have him, at least in my estimation. Bill might think differently, but this is an anachronistic offense. It's a 1950s high school offense where you just have the biggest kid on the block and say he's going to run you over. And then if the other team has a good kid too from the other neighborhood, you're screwed.
That being Aaron Donald.
That being Aaron Donald, or that being, well, not even Jared Goff, but that being Deshaun Watson, or it being a coach. I think really, too, it was a fair fight on the sidelines that Bill was engaged in last night. Sometimes you can just big brain the opposition, and last night I don't think that was the case.
All right, so what's the goal, do you think, with this team for the rest of the year?
What it should be, is making sure that they know what they have going into the 2021 offseason. They have like $60 million in cap space. They're probably going to be a top 15 selector. They should know whether or not Jarrett Stidham can play even a little. They should be able to figure out who defensively is going to be there going forward and figure out what pieces they'll need. Instead, I think they're going to spend a fair amount of time you have to try and win the Miami game. You still got a shot. But going forward and into 2021, they have to address the quarterback position. It's the most important position in sports, Dan. But really, since they traded Garoppolo, they've cast it about for any solution at all. Danny Etling and Stidham are the only guys they drafted at the spot. Hoyer and Newton are the only guys who've held down the spot. And 2017 Halloween was 3 years ago.
Yeah, don't they know what they have in Stidham? And if they don't, why aren't they going to play him now?
They suspect what they have. He is no barrier to them having any future plans at the spot, meaning that he wouldn't, even if he went off the next 3 weeks, I don't think that would stop them from doing anything. Why won't they play him now? Bill is getting that question over the last 12 hours, and both times he's bristled today, said, I'm not answering that question ever again. But I think that they're looking at it as you got to dance with what brung you. He gives us a chance to score points. Cam does, if the rest of the game falls a particular way.
If I made you
to fall that way.
If I made you the GM, what would you do?
I would probably say, Bill, it's a good idea to go ahead and use Stidham. Lose this game against Miami, and then we go Stidham the last two. We finish 7-9. You can't desert the players and say we're going to Stidham to find out what's going on when there's still a mathematical chance. I think that would be, especially this year where guys are sacrificing so much, an affront. But I would probably go after Jimmy Garoppolo, Jacoby Brissett, bridge guys until you can find the answer at quarterback.
Well, Garoppolo wouldn't be a bridge.
No, you're right. I said that, and I said, ooh, get that back. Especially since he's been so overpaid in San Francisco, that's going to be fascinating to watch too, because if you're a Matt Stafford, if he gets released, or a Jimmy Garoppolo or whoever, do you want to come to New England? I mean, this attractive place for 20 years, you're going to look at it and go, who am I throwing to again? You guys got to sign a tight end at some point? And I wouldn't be dying to come here to finish my career and chase a ring.
Yeah, and while I can credit Belichick for doing some pretty good coaching this year, I can also blame Belichick for having to do some really good coaching because he doesn't have the personnel.
Right. And that's why conversations about whether or not he's coach of the year come with that caveat.
Yeah.
Well, look what he's done with Cam. Well, why is Cam here? It's because he held the door and tapped his foot until Brady walked through it. Hashtag Tommy.
Do you think Brady watches? Do you think he watched that game last night?
Yeah, he likes football.
Do you think he watches it with a smile on his face at any point?
That's a good question. I think, no, I don't think he smiles relative to the players on the field, but I think that there's probably a satisfaction that he takes in saying, see, I didn't throw 4 touchdowns and 10 picks. I still somehow threw 24 touchdowns with these guys, and I was supposed to be the bad guy in decline. Then, of course, he has a game this weekend. He's not been lighting the world on fire either.
No. If we talk in a month from now about the Patriots, what are we talking about?
Well, they finished 8-8. And it's weird, but it's January 10th, and they're not in the playoffs, and they're starting to try and make their decisions. You have to figure out whether Patrick Chung and Dante Hightower and Marcus Cannon and James White. I mean, they got a lot of guys, Dan, who are free agents, not just where the roster is right now and not just how much cap space they have. They have a lot of old lions on this franchise that are free agents. So I don't even know if the rebuild has started.
Could you see Bill ever coaching a different team?
Wesleyan lacrosse.
That's it. Not in the NFL. No?
No, I don't. I don't see that happening. I don't know if you could kick upstairs and be a consultant and have Steven Belichick perhaps be a head coach, or, Mayo or someone like that. But I really think that, and he is such a detail-oriented guy, Dan, and you've dealt with him. I just don't think he would want to walk away and give anybody the satisfaction of saying, yeah, well, Bill drove the team into the ground at the end once Brady left. I think he would be stubborn enough to say, no, I'm not going anywhere.
Thanks for joining us as always, Tom. We appreciate your time, and happy holidays, as they like to say.
All right, buddy. Thanks, my friend. Say hi to Michael.
That's Tom E. Curran, Patriots Insider, NBC Sports.